What about my screen?
Hi, my name is Jesse Parent. I am coming up from Salt Lake City. That doesn't sound like it's far away, but when you're driving through Ogden, it is. I read you some poetry for you, and hopefully there's not too much reverb that you're crazed out by my theater voice.
That would be the monitors, actually. It's fine.
Okay. She had a face like a bag of smashed assholes, but gave more head than a crate of Pez dispensers. And with that phrase, Grandma's eulogy was off to an interesting start. My grandparents dealt with each other like bad poker hands, with faces you could never quite read, but you could tell they loved to play the game, and as far as inappropriate behavior went, they were all in. Theirs was the kind of love that was crafted alongside fiber-laden farts, hot boxed under comforters and bed sheets till someone cried uncle. Sharp tongues that didn't recite love ballads. They carved lines in the air to mark territory and challenge each other's venom and wit. Laid down lyrics that made divorce seem inevitable on top of a melody that was subtle, sweet. The kind of music you'd hear swelling as the hero kisses the girl, or sound trip to that chick flick you don't want to admit shedding a tear to. This was hard love. This was a love that required backaches and sunburns. This love gnarled the forearms and blackened the fingernails. This love weathered the face and the leather lines on the tuck could dare to fix. This love was a tattoo, got to make a point, whose lines no longer held the shape of a design, but indelibly marked the skin in greening ink. You see, we have been spoiled by Fabio novels saying that this green grass plot is what you should want, not that shaved apple weed yard you were sweating to maintain, that marriages should come packed with parachutes so when the engine smokes, you're ready to bail, floating to safety, ready to kiss the ground as you land. But my grandparents knew that this was work, and it wasn't always easy, and they would glide the aircraft of their marriage in with one engine left, no landing gear, skidding to safety, ready to collect the lane, declare this vacation a success, and yes, they would be flying that airline again. This was not abuse. This was sparring. This was the joy of combat that always ended with hugs with the referee raising both their hands. This was hard to explain. And as we listened to our grandfather eulogize his wife while the new pastor sat in the corner awkwardly tugging at his collar, we wept. And we laughed. And we held each other, knowing that the lyrics didn't need to match the melody to recognize the tune. This was their love. And yet, to this day, I have never eaten candy from a Pez dispenser again. Thank you very much. I am going to go off the mic for a little bit because the monitors are kind of messing me up a little bit, and I'm not used to that, and that's all right because that's okay.
You rebel.
I have a bit of a theater voice. Actually, I have some. I love my poetry family, but I love my improv family too. My son family, Calvin and Joe, are here. They are representing Ogden's Mission Improbable. So if you ever get around to saying Mission Improbable, that would be awesome.
They're really good. They're really good.
And they are awesomely good. They're amazingly good. They're amazingly good. I should know. I think I taught them classes. I don't know. I know, right? I know, right? We all feed into each other. This one is about my son.
You did?
This one's better, so let's go with it. To my son, on the occasion of his 8th birthday. Knock it off. Stop growing old. You are officially grounded from age. I do not want to see another tooth shed from your mouth like some small porcelain treasure. No more growth spurts to prevent me from having to bend down to hug you. I forbid your haircuts to advance past anything that is not vaguely bowl-shaped. You will understand. Forever since smaller chunks for you, since you've only had 8 years of life from which to build perspective. Childhood will last for eons, with summers advancing in ages and birthdays spanning eras. Even recess will last the equivalent of one of my days. But my 30-plus years have diluted the perspective of time, and I have tried to hold on to these years with you as if they were water. I keep looking up and seeing a baby turning into a boy with every milestone, this bittersweet moment where I encourage you to move forward while lying down, clutching at your ankles, trying to drag you back into a crib. If you keep going at this rate, soon you will find the purgatory of adolescence, and even worse, high school. And those years will drag on, forming center rings and redwoods, and we will be able to tell where there was a blight of pimples and show the line where your voice went from soprano to tenor, and you will sit alone in a grove of other trees, knowing that the mighty shade of your fathers surely never felt the worry of wind that a sapling holds. And I will never be able to convince you that these years are a mere bump on your identity that still does not know which way your branches will grow. Adulthood seems so far away from you as the stars will burn out and fade on your journey toward leaving dark holes in the sky and constellations undone, and yet I see you speeding towards it faster than starlight. And I want to pull you over and read you your rights. You have the right to remain 8. You have the right to imagine adventures for all eternity. If you're not going to afford an adventure this time, Daddy will take a vacation day. If you get so filthy, we will leave rings in bathtubs and washing machines. I am not crazy. I know that this grounding from age will never hold. I know that I will read these to you one day and it will be well past 9, and I hope and pray that I do, because the only thing that can freeze anyone at any age is a coffin. Just try to lay off on growing old so fast. Enjoy taking to China in the backyard and fighting off hordes of Sith while landing a million punches and never once getting hit. May you never become bitter or disillusioned at my wisdom, and may you never be afraid to kiss my lips in public. Hold on tight before these years turn to water. And as you go, send in your sister. I have it from a reliable source that she thinks she's turning 6 soon. Well, we'll just have to see about that. You know, and he's not listening. He went and got his Life Scout right before I came here, so I had to watch him do that. He's like going on to an Eagle Scout. It's so weird.
How old is he now?
He's 12. I was dealing drugs when he was as 12, so I don't know. It's like, oh, please don't let me mess you up in my jeans. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I am not from Utah. I grew up in kind of like on the border of Rhode Island, and this is a story about a friend of mine that I knew there. Scott Green and I started the same summer in 1992 at my uncle's tattoo parlor in East Providence. He was always blaring Deep Purple and trying to turn me on to Black Sabbath and other bands with too much hair. We'd celebrate late nights at Bickford's with coffee and the occasional creamer that would defy gravity with its viscosity and consistency. The man's ink covers much of my epidermis. On February 20th, 2003, at the Station nightclub in West Warwick, Rhode Island, Great White played a small concert to a capacity crowd where 100 people spent their last night snuffed out by flames. One of them was Scott Green. He had tattooed the lead singer the day before him and tipped tickets to his demise. News was scarce, and I wondered how such a heavily tattooed man could take so long to be identified, slowly dawning on me with sickening realization just how blackened and charred his ink and skin must have been, wondering what his last moments must have been like, crawling through the crowd to get out of there. Seeking solace, I looked to see what others were saying online, the debates on safety, the finger pointing, the question of how could that building have gone up in flames that fast? And the one answer that stood out, hairspray. And with that, I laughed loudly with the breakbeat sobs and the sick song of gallows humor, the inappropriate joking I so desperately needed, clinging to comedy to explain away this tragedy, making one mask out of two. We're a sick lot, those of us who need this, like teenage cutters, freeing flowing emotion with razor wit, off-color offensive humor concocted between falling towers and breaking levees, making sense out of senses of humor and never giving in to the outraged cries of too soon. Like my dad at his own father's wake. Our grandfather, my Pepe, looking at our room swamped with eyes and loudly declaring how Pep wanted to be buried face down so the world could kiss his ass. Breaking out the small gag box and shake and exclaim, "Hey, hey, let me out of here," whenever you bumped or shook it. Dad threatened to put it in the coffin with conspiratory glee. But on a shady funeral day, while burying our Pepe, my father broke. Genuine emotion flowed out of him as he was handed a triangular flag, and for the third time in my life, I saw him cry. No cloak of laughter or jokes, just raw sorrow as I turned to hold him, bumping his jacket pocket, laughing loudly as we shook in time to that goddamn gag box that he'd hidden there. Surrounded by a shitload of shaking heads and 3 sets of 7 shots, punctuated with the cries of 100 tiny people trapped in a box. Hey, hey, get out of here. This is all going to be funny bones. So I have another one. This is actually because of an improv show that I did down in Nevada for this rodeo show. And Nevada, I apologize, I was corrected on that, by the way. It's Nevada. I was at this rodeo doing an improv show, and we saw this thing called this stand. It said cowboy stuff. And I'm like, I wonder what cowboy stuff is. It involves a lot of belt buckles. So I went over and there was this belt buckle and it had a Confederate flag on it lined with German crosses, and I'm like, wow, that is a clear statement being rendered there. So I took a picture of it and I got it on Facebook, and people were kind of debating. I had one friend who was like, are you one of those people that thinks that Confederate flags are racist? And you know, arguably, maybe I missed something. Perhaps history is written by the losers. I don't know. So I was maybe trying to give the benefit of the doubt. And a friend of mine said, you know what? No matter what, when you have a group of people take over a symbol, you have to admit or concede that they have imbued that symbol with meaning. And this got the fluid cooking on this poem. So. Little brother, look what they've done to me. For millennia, I have woven myself into humanity's dreams, raced comet-like across their collective consciousness as basic as a circle, a hooked cross. A child of lines and busy hands, simple, recognizable, they call me swastika. And I was everywhere, even the one place I wished I wasn't. I admit, I was jealous of you, little brother, and the star you rose up on, for I was just a hooked cross glossed over on cracked clay pots and deerskin teepees, hidden along with kisses on the collars of Chinese children, ironically, to protect them from evil spirits. All of Asia blended me into their backgrounds. Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, I could tell you where any temple was. A sun symbol, a heart seal, eternity. A minor celebrity on one continent, a child's absent doodle on the rest. He took me west, little brother, told me to point right and lean, hold the pose, showed a bright white spotlight on me, go like danced on a red carpet, they all waved at me, little brother. I got caught up in the rush to become a major celebrity. It was too late to turn back. They slaughtered each other under my hooked shadow, the smoke of their flesh darkening my form. I let them turn me into something horrible, simple, recognizable, detestable. Humanity's dreams no longer idly trace my form in innocent doodles. Countless millennia and may never wash away the stench on my lines, no matter which way I turn. A minor celebrity on one continent, a symbol of hatred on the rest. So many killed while I waved over them, their murderers justifying themselves by the meaning they put into my shape. They killed for me. You don't have my hooks, little brother, but we have the same parents, the same simplicity of lines. We have had different men who have defined us, even if we have both been worn by popes. My body count is well over 6 million, little brother. Pray they do not start counting up the ones that were killed for you. Why I hate list poems. Woo! 1, they have numbers. 2, the numbers follow a predictable pattern, one level deep, a child's trick of fingers and toes. Why can't list poems ebb and flow like legal documents? Subsections listing letters and Roman numerals weaving like IV3. The act of listing segments the content, lining the road of your emotional journey with speed bumps and commercial breaks and the occasional nonsensical non sequitur that adds no clear meaning to the experience of the piece. 4, junior mints. Delicious. 5, there's always a theme but never a story. A list poem is a dictionary entry that defines a noun, verb, and adjective as it follows slowly, a coalescing of chapters that reads more like a digest than a novel. 6, there is always innuendo. Usually around 6 or 9. I can't really tell you why, but it seems to be a mutual agreement between the audience and the writer, a movement of the mouth that you can't quite concentrate on. 7, there is always a part of the poem where the author is clearly running out of ideas on their preconceived plan. It is best to stick these bits in the middle and hope no one notices. 8, the author spends way too much time weaving this linear list into a forced pattern, grouping like a Mobius loop, backtracking like a dictionary entry that refers back to the definition that got you here in the first place, backtracking that reads more like a choose-your-own-adventure than a novel. 9, sex. Delicious. 10, list has to end, but you don't know quite where. There seems to be a mutual agreement between the audience and the writer that this should be a nice round number, easily divisible by 5 or 2, tying everything up in a neat little package, completing the pattern, a brilliant crescendo from an orgasmic build, saying that this is the satisfying ending that you have been craving. 11, it can never end on a prime number. Which is a shame because there are so many prime numbers, potentially endless, and people are always getting so excited when we find a new one, a bigger one. There is something fascinating about a number that is only divisible by itself in 1, 12. I am not linear. I am not a thread. I am a spider web. I am the sum of my mistakes and successes. I am fine detail, not broad strokes. I am no simple progression. 12b. Don't let anyone ever force you into a pattern. Rise from all sides at once. Admit that you are brilliance of all your best moments. You are potentially endless. You are the reason for being. Stop counting your moments in numbers and simple progression and smiles. Count them instead in smiles and wonder. 13. You are potentially endless. No one can divide you but you. Why, thank you. So yeah, that helps me get like some of the bumps out of that piece. That's a newer piece. And you know, there is, if you like this kind of thing, there's a thing called Poetry Slam that is done in a couple of areas in the state. What? Why do you want a Poetry Slam? Why? I will tell you. Because you asked. At Mo's Neighborhood Grill, on the last Mondays of the month, there is Poetry Slam starts at 8. In fact, this month is the month that we decide on what team we're going to send from Salt Lake to go to the national tournament in Charlotte, North Carolina! That is correct. And last year we placed 8th out of 76 teams. We hope to be last place on the final stage this year. That's a goal. And there's also a slam on the second Thursdays of the month at the coffee shop in Riverton? No. Yes, Riverton. Just west of Bangor Highway. In fact, it is this Thursday. It is tomorrow. And that is the last chance to get on that team, which they will be sending a team to the Utah Arts Festival for the team slam that is there.
No way.
I know, right? All of this disbelief, you must dispel it, because it is true. So, these are the kinds of things that you can do. In addition to coming to this fine establishment, please give it up for Mojos. This place is awesome. very much, Don, who was just gracious and wonderful to me over Facebook. It's wonderful to meet him in person.
Let's see what you did there.
I know, right? So I did a poem about my son, and this is kind of my daughter's poem. My daughter is... My daughter is of an age where things are happening. And it is a wonderful thing. It is a delicious thing. Little girls. Green sashes lined with patches, smiles broken with baby teeth dangling from gum threads, whistling lisp siren songs of, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
Yes!
Each box of heaven color-coded so my completionist OCD gnaws at the back of my brainstem with Pokemon anthems. Gotta catch 'em all. Good Lord. I don't even like shortbread. The trefoils wink iconically at me, looking like America in swing set crushes. The lemon chalet creams whisper French into my ear, making zest a word that would work into my wedding vows. The Samoas are a good idea on paper, chocolate and caramel, but the coconut tells a racist joke down the back of my throat. Blah! It tastes like failed sitcoms. Little playground pushers, smiles sweeter than diabetes. The tag-alongs are an afterthought, ironically just tagging along with the rest of the order. The dolce de leches are always a regret. Dry chalk cookies, surely your name translates into needs more milk. The do-si-dos fold their arms, sandwiching peanut butter like some sort of bizarro Oreo. Me hate you so much. Oh, no, no, no. She twists the last knife in, like it'll earn her a merit badge. The Thin Mints. Dear God, the Thin Mints majestic freezer cookie. Your serving size comes in sleeves. With a diamond syrup butter spinning through you, praying for cookie kills. Build obsidian statues in your honor, praise be. I am too Catholic. I receive you like a wafer on the tongue, couple you with wine into a vitamin willow. Use are the barren winters of my freezer's green, with boxes that can barely contain your glory. It takes weeks for my order to arrive. 3 troops of little girls need to be called in to deliver the shipment. I pay with a banknote. And a promise of my firstborn child, I pray that it is not a little girl. Hey, Ben, how many more should I have?
3 more?
3 more, all right. You know what, that's hilarious. I wrote down for 4, so that's okay. Oh, I have one. Yes, the perfect transition.
Where's that gonna go?
I know, right? This is from my chapter book. It is merely $5. $5? I know, right? So I would like to read a little bit from here. Oh yes, I forgot my glasses. I shall have to read from memory. I'd always thought of girls as magical things. Proper porcelain built mostly for crushes, constantly smelling of jasmine and Elmer's glue, leaving a blazing trail of sparkles wherever they went. Now the girls I knew in elementary school liked to be chased, screamed bloody murder as we pounded the pavement, cried foul if you caught them too hard, knew the magic kicking spot to make you let go. All of them could write in cursive, big looping letters with hearts everywhere, even the tomboys. I knew that they had to pee. They were always shouting about it, complaining about it if they laughed too hard, announcing the need as they raised their hands for hall passes. I just never thought to wonder if girls pooped. It just didn't seem natural, like a unicorn throwing up or a Care Bear swearing. Thanks a lot, 2 girls, 1 cup. I don't understand. Well, let's bring this one down a bit. This is not one that I do very often. This is a bit of a longer piece.
Ah, geez, I'm bipolar. I don't know if I can handle that.
Oh man, if I can suffer through your stuff, you can suffer through mine. No, it's really wonderful. I enjoy epics. Yes. Jonathan was no beauty, at least not physically. His spine carved down his back like a path through the black forest. His face so gnarled and lined with boils it looked like a jar of marbles. He was a mishmash, a goblin, a thing that made children scream through the night. But Jonathan loved children. Not to eat like the sharp-looking bone crags in his mouth might suggest. He longed to cradle a cooing cherub in the crook of his elbow, watch wobbling arms seeking first steps, falling into a run towards him. Jonathan wanted this moment so badly, I swear I could watch it play out in the dark orb of his pupil. I loved him. Adored the way that he warmed his hugs. With his soul, he looked built for death, but his clever hands were only for carpentry. He spilt me this beautiful loom, and I'd spin and weave with a bursting chest, and afterwards, he'd play his fiddle while I danced and sang him a song with our names in it. We'd make love, collapsing like two ancient trees entwined. I wanted to give him his wish. Would that I could spin dreams from straw, but neither one of us had the plumbing, and we feared the protests and pitchforks of good Christian neighbors if two little old men filed adoption requests. Best to keep quiet, safe. But Jonathan's heart was a cracked vessel that could only fill so much. I'm not proud of what I did. I saw myself as a hero, I suppose. The girl's father already doomed her with his false tongue. Her weeping shook the earth so hard I could barely contain my curiosity. It was a simple enough problem for me to fix, to spin straw into gold. She kept her life and made us a new one. I should have never promised Jonathan. I told him we'd be a family, and that I'd be back in a week, and it was a boy. He'd already carved the crib as I trudged away. I should have known what a mother's love would do. She wept and pleaded when I came for the boy. I couldn't bear to break the vessel in her chest, so I gave her time and a bargain. Thought I was being so clever and unique, but I grew careless. Got caught. I never should have danced and sang without Jonathan's fiddle. His heart fell into a chasm when I told him the news. His eyes went dark, the images gone. I found him in the morning, hanging from a tree, a gnarled branch dangling, his beautifully carved fiddle lay soiled beneath his feet. I screamed and beat my chest up my feet, so hard with grief I thought I would split the earth. I didn't care who saw me, I had nothing left to fear. From good Christian neighbors I choked out a song through the sobbing racks of my ribs. I made it my hymn for him. Carve you man with chiseled hands, my lips are shaped by Jonathan. Spin and weave, a merry man with the love of Rumpelstiltskin. I'd like to close with one last poem. Thank you so much, guys. You've been really receptive. Please.